What's going on, everyone? Gonna make a video here real quickly on my thoughts and impressions on the 3ds. I have two of them actually. I got a black one and I got the aqua one. I guess that's the color. It's like a greenish color. Both of them are, by the way, are metallic. So when you move it, it's kind of, you can't really see this very good, but when you move it, it's kind of like it's dark in some areas and light, and it kind of moves around. It's kind of cool. But what I have here is a DS Lite, which is the equivalent of a DSi, I guess. And I just want to do a quick comparison in case if you already have one of these and you're wondering should you get this or not. I can kind of give you the idea of whether or not you should want to do that or not. So, first off, they're the same exact size. The only difference is the top screen, obviously, we all know it's got the widescreen aspect ratio as opposed to that's just a regular square. When you put in a regular DS game, the screen displays like that. So there'll be like a black empty screen on both sides, so it keeps the original aspect ratio. Don't think you can change that, by the way. But other than that, it's exactly the same size in every shape and form that you can think of. Which is actually, I prefer this size. It's a really good size. Just real quickly, I wanted to show the analog stick, which is like the PSP, but it's actually a lot bigger than a PSP. But it's built the same way. It's basically a disc that you can slide. It's rubber, so it feels very similar to like an Xbox 360. And underneath you have the D-pad. It's a little tricky to say what I prefer because the D-pad's actually really good. The only problem is its location. I think I would probably preferred the opposite, where the analog stick was lower and the D-pad maybe was up here. But I don't know, it's just really hard to say. The D-pad is good, but it's in the bottom corner, so the way that you actually have to hold this, and if you have to use a left button, which most games you probably do if you're using a D-pad, it's just kind of awkward, just the spacing. I mean, it's kind of nitpicking a little bit, but I know when I play Street Fighter that I want to use a D-pad, but I end up not using it because I do use the triggers. I end up going right to the analog, which actually you would think would be better, but in some cases it's really not. And just quickly before I make this a video about Street Fighter, is the problem that I have when I play the game is, of course, you have down, you have back, and then you have down and back, which is crouch block. Well, unfortunately, you never really know if you're doing it right unless you're getting hit. If you're getting hit, you're not doing it right, even if you're crouching. And I've lost a lot of matches that way, where I'm trying to block because I know they're going to do a wake up ultra because that's what everybody does. And they hit me anyway because I wasn't really blocking. I wasn't in that sweet spot that's right in that nook. So that kind of causes a problem. I kind of wish that was a square, but they would never design it that way. And I wouldn't expect them to, but if it was a square, it'd be like a fight stick and it'd be better. But other than that, I mean, for 3D games and other types of games, not fighting, I think that's a really good analog stick. Overall, and this is nice because it also acts as kind of like Nintendo 64, where the D-pad was like more options or change weapon maybe or stuff like that. So it's like extra added buttons that you can use with your analog. So it's good that they have both. All right, next, my other little pet peeve, I guess I should say, when I compare the design of where the locations are for your regular buttons, like here's start and select, you go over here, it's actually your power button, and you can see why that would be an issue. Like in Street Fighter, it says press start, and naturally I'm thinking this is start, but I'm on this, so I'm hitting this button. This is your power button. The good thing though is that you can hit it, and unless you hit it for a really long time, usually nothing happens if you're in a game. You have to hold it in order to shut off your system. So if you just tap it really fast, It usually doesn't affect the game, which is good, because that would suck if every time you think that you're gonna hit start to, get through a menu and you end up turning your system off. That'd just be aggravating. So that was one of the things that I keep doing, but so far it hasn't been too much of an issue. Your start and select are right here. They're like indented. Well, they're not indented, but the buttons are underneath like a plastic thing here. So this is smooth. This is your home button. It works the same as just like an iPhone or anything else. You hit home, it brings you to the main menu. You can resume your games if you hit that button. You can go right back to your game. So next, so on the side of the DS Lite, you have a slider, which is your power button. On here, you have a slider, except it's your Wi-Fi. So this is what I've been doing for the past couple of days. It's only been 2 days, I think. Is when I want to turn this off, I hit the wireless up and then I shut it, thinking that I'm turning it off because that's how I would do it this way. But the only thing I've done is put it in standby mode and turn the Wi-Fi off. So it's kind of goofy, and it takes me a while to get used to that. It's not really a big deal though, because in standby mode it is fine. But if I'm wanting to turn this off, I have to tell myself hit the power button to turn it off, because it's just out of habit. I've done it so many times that people make fun of me. They're like, why did you turn your wireless off and then shut your thing? Well, they don't understand that. It's because I'm used to this, and that's how I would turn it off. So that's kind of annoying. But, I mean, it's not like, it's not a big deal. Like I said, it just puts it in standby. So, other than that, I mean, then you have your slider up here, which controls the 3D. I'm not going to go too far in depth on how that works, other than if you ever looked at those like illusion books. Actually, not even really like an illusion book. They're actually called 3D books, where they have a printed image, but it looks like they reprinted it, the same image, about 6 times, and then you have to adjust your eyes to focus it into one, and it becomes 3D. Well, that is basically the concept here, except the screen is doing the work for you, and then your eyes just have to kind of adjust to it, and then it becomes 3D. It actually works pretty damn good, to be honest. It does strain the eyes after a while, and of course I can't show you on a camera because it's only focusing on one, it's only one lens. It would never work. But I'm actually really impressed with it. When it comes to the only 2 games that I have, Rayman is really cool in 3D because it's an actual 3D platformer. So it looks pretty good and everything kind of pops out and it's kind of fun, but I do tend to tone it down a little bit. As for Street Fighter, it looks really great, but I tend to turn it off when I'm trying to play seriously, because even though it looks nice and it's fun, it does kind of strain the eyes. And if you're getting serious into the game, you really have to have the screen solid in front of you, and you can't really be shaking the screen around, otherwise the 3D becomes double image. And I mean, it's not really bad, but it's enough to maybe kind of impede your gameplay, especially if you're playing online. So I tend to play serious matches with the 3D off, which still looks really good. So what else did I want to mention? Okay, so if you have a DSi or XL or whatever, should you trade it in for 3DS? Well, the only problem with that is I'm an old school gamer. I own every system under the sun. I have cartridges of everything you could think of, and of course I have Game Boy Advance games. With DSL or DS Lite, I mean, you can play Game Boy Advance cartridges in there, and it will play. This does not have a slot for that, so you can only play DS games and obviously 3DS games. But on the flip side, or on the plus side I should say, they are implementing, which is it's not on there yet, but the virtual console that is also on the Wii, and you'll be able to download games from the older consoles that way. Supposedly, from what I've read, it's just going to be Game Boy and Game Boy Color, but who knows, they'll obviously add more consoles, I'm sure. Hopefully they'll add like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and all that cool stuff. That'd be good. But other than that, it doesn't do anything more than that. So I'm keeping this because I have Game Boy Advance games. If you don't have any Game Boy Advance games, then you probably don't really need this at all. So what else? I don't really want to go too far into it. We're like 10 minutes into it. I will say that I do like this a lot. There's only a handful of games out. I got the Rayman and the Street Fighter 4. I'll make another video on that later. I'll let you know that I really like the Super Street Fighter 4, and I do like Rayman, just your basic platformer. As for the rest of the games, I'm probably not going to get into it, but I'm really excited about some games that are coming out within the next year, like Paper Mario. They're going to make a Dragon Quest, a Final Fantasy. I think Metal Gear Solid is supposed to be released for this, and I don't know what happened to Ikari Warriors or whatever that game's called, because Kid Icarus, I think, is that it? I don't know. The game with the Cupid kid, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. But that game isn't out, so I actually was interested in that. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, I'm getting that game. So there's a lot of cool games that are coming out, but just aren't out now. So if you like Street Fighter, I would definitely say, and if you're anticipating on getting this, go ahead and get it and get the Street Fighter, because you'll have a lot of fun with that before the other games come out. And yeah, I do like it. The 3D, you'll find a level where you're gonna want to turn it off, and then you'll like it back on. So it's not completely useless. It looks really cool when you use it, and I think they did pretty good. And as for the online with Super Street Fighter 4, it's pretty good. Like I said, I'll make another video about that game at another time. But real quickly before I turn this off, you get this thing here, which it's basically a very basic docking system. But you plug the power cord in the back. It can go into your DS too, but you can plug the power cord in the back right here, and then basically you can just drop your DS in like this. Alright, so you don't have to worry about unplugging and plugging the wiring all the time. You can just kind of plop that in, and then you can play it in your hand, or you can just sit it there. And then this little case here, this little flip lid, just covers where the game is, I guess. Whatever, it's not really a big deal. But if you have a place where you keep everything charged, you can just keep that there. Then all you gotta do is just drop your DS right on it and walk away, and it's charging. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool little addition. Other than that, that is my very basic review. I know it went 13 minutes long, but like I said, I'll make videos on a Super Street Fighter 4. I know a lot of people want to get into that game. And other than that, that's that.